And great, thanks. Welcome, everybody. And I'm going to turn it over to Elise to make some announcements. Oh, Elise, you're
Am I still muted?
there you go. You got it.
Okay.
You're not muted now. Good.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to our third meet and greet. We hope to make this a good conversation and involve you all with our guest. And we're looking for people to get more involved with the section. We have 2 openings on the steering committee, and we're looking for 2 people, at least 2 people to help out with the newsletter and our social media accounts. So if you are interested in any of these opportunities or finding out more about what these positions involve, feel free to get in touch with me or Elizabeth, or ask the question during the meeting, and we'll be happy to answer it as well. But yeah, we have a great guest tonight, and I hope you'll give her a warm welcome. So I'll send it over to you now, Elizabeth, to do the introduction.
Super. Thank you so much. I just dropped a flyer for those 2 positions in the chat, and I think that that flyer should have our emails on it. So you can find our emails there. All right. So now on to introduce Anne-Lise Depoil. Just letting somebody in. Okay. Anne-Lise is the collections manager for archival materials in the Département des Arts du Spectacle at the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. She's a graduate of both the École Nationale des Chartres and the Institut National de Patrimoine, the French school which trains curators, becoming a curator specializing in historical records in 2016. Anne-Lise served as the first deputy director of the Archive Départemental, sorry about that, du Paris in Strasbourg in 2017 to 2021. She was in charge of public outreach at that institution. Then she joined the BNF in 2021. And in addition to overseeing personal collections and archive materials from playwrights and stage directors such as Peter Brook, Gordon Craig, and Ionesco, she currently is working towards enhancing access to records of female playwrights and stage directors who are critically underrepresented in the BNF collections. Anne-Lise also served as the curator of La Danse et ses Révolutions, which opened on October 7th, 2023, and will be on display until March 24th, 2024. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask as I let people in the BNF Museum Rotunda. She will give us an overview of the Department of Performance and take us on a virtual tour of that exhibition. So I'm going to continue letting people in. We thank you so much. We're so pleased to have this talk and to find out about the exhibition. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here and have a chance to discuss with you. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a real opportunity for me to talk and meet with colleagues from overseas. So I'm just going to give you a very short presentation of the Performing Arts Department of the National Library of France. So I'd like to start at the end of the 19th century with Auguste Rondel, who is a young man you can see in this drawing here. So Auguste Rondel was a banker who came from Marseille at the south of France. And when he was 18, he fell in love with the theater, and he decided to collect everything he could find and buy related to the performing arts. And since he had no heirs, and he did not want his collection to be dispersed after his death. He made a donation to the French state in 1920. So what you can see here in this photograph is a part of his collection. And you must imagine that all of this was first stored in his house. So he might have had a very big house because he was very rich and yeah, he had some leisure time. When he made his donation, after he made his donation in 1920, his collection was stored in the Bibliothèque de l'Arsenal, which is near Bastille in Paris. And the Bibliothèque de l'Arsenal became a part of the National Library of France in 1935. And its collection forms the first material of the collection of the Performing Arts Department, which was created as a specific department of the National Library in 1976. So it is a very recent department. And other departments of the National Library include the manuscripts department, the music department, and the prints and photographs department. So our department is located in both Paris and Avignon, because as you can probably know, there is a national festival of theater in Avignon every year. So it was important for us to be there and to collect playbills and other archives related to this festival. So since its creation in 1976, our department has continued Rondel's work, and we now collect documents on all disciplines of the performing arts, so such as theater, of course, but also circus, pantomime, marionettes, and cinema before the 50s. We also collect documents relating to dance, of course, but we specialize in modern and contemporary dance, so mainly between the 50s and the 90s. And another service of the National Library, which you can see here, is the Museum Library of the Opera. So it's another service of the National Library, different from the Performing Arts Department. And this service is specialized in the repertoire of the Paris Opera, so Garnier and Bastille. So it documents every performance that enters the repertoire of the opera. So mostly classical ballet and a little bit of contemporary dance. So both our services complement each other. We are very complementary. So the National Library have a very extensive collection regarding dance, and it opened its new museum just a year ago in September 2022, and it wanted to highlight its 20th century dance collections. So a thing you must know about the collections that are on display in this museum is that they change every 6 months. So the exhibition changes every 6 months. And I was asked to prepare the exhibition about dance, which, as you heard at the beginning of the talk, opened last October in a room of this new museum that is called the Rotunda. So you have a part of this room taken in photo just here. So here a little disclaimer, because I am not a specialist of dance. I enjoy watching ballet very much, but I am not in charge of the dance collections of our department. But it was still a very nice opportunity for me, and I was delighted to to prepare this little exhibition. So I will begin with our virtual tour. So the rotunda is a circular room. So at the center of it, the first thing you can see when you enter the room is this wonderful the costume that I found wonderful by Natalia Goncharova, who was a French painter from Russian origin. And she designed this costume for a performance of the Golden Cockerel, which was an opera by Rimsky-Korsakov with dancing parts choreographed by Michel Fokine. And it was performed by the Ballet Russe Company in London in 1937. 20 years after its Parisian premiere in 1914. So as you can see, the costume is a mixture between Russian folklore influence, because you can see, for instance, the floral patterns on the fur in the headdress, but it is also it is also a mixture with European avant-garde influence, because you can see these wonderful colors and the abstraction of the designs, the patterns. As you can probably tell, I don't know if you see it very well, but in the picture, but this costume is very heavy. So it was not worn by one of the dancers, but by one of the singers, because it was, as I said, it was an opera with dancing parts. And this costume is one of the 7,000 costumes we held in the performing arts department. So it is always interesting to show to the visitors that we also have costumes in our collection. On the right, you have a picture of the display case containing items relating to the Ballet Russe. We are still with the Ballet Russe. So I will just stop briefly on this headdress in the center. So it was designed by the Russian painter Leon Bakst, who worked a lot with the Ballet Russe. And it was supposed to be worn by Ida Rubinstein, who is represented here by the photograph Madame Dora. And Ida Rubinstein was supposed to dance the role of Zobeide in the play Scheherazade. And the interesting thing regarding this address is when you see it at first, the address seems really impressive. But when you get closer, you realize that it is made with cheap materials and not at all with precious stones. So it is a real theatrical trick. Sorry, it is meant to be admired on stage under the lighting. Sorry, and it is not at all a jewelry piece. Actually, it's just a theatrical accessory. So it was really interesting when we set up the lightings of the above the address. It took another dimension. It was it was more impressive than before. Here you have two costume designs by Sonia Delaunay. So this one is for a play named Cleopatra, and this one for a project by Léonide Massine, which was named the Four Seasons, but which was never performed. It stayed as a project. So what I find very impressive about these designs are of course the colors. They are truly wonderful, I think. And I think Sonia Delaunay managed to give us a real sense of the movement, especially in this one. So we are really grateful to have many pieces from Robert and Sonia Delaunay because they has made a donation to the National Library after their death in exchange for reduced tax inheritance. It's a dispositive in France where you can donate and have your taxes reduced. And I don't know if some of you may have seen there is currently an exhibition about Delaunay in the Bard Graduate Center, and we loaned a lot of pieces actually from our collection to this exhibition. So I would be curious to hear your impressions if you have been visiting this exhibition. So another section of this small exhibition was dedicated to Isadora Duncan. So I chose not to present photographs because as you can probably know, at the beginning of the 20th century, photographs were very much staged and so very static. And I chose to present rather pieces that I felt better reflected Isadora's movements. And I was very happy to when I discovered this small bronze medallion made by a French sculptor who was named Charpentier Millot, and who specialized in representing dancers, such as Isadora. And this is a drawing from by Gordon Craig, the stage director, British stage director. And he was also known for having had an affair with Isadora between 1904 and 1906. And I don't know if you can see it well in this picture, but the movement which is represented here in this medallion is exactly the same that Gordon Craig drew here. So it was very nice to have these two pieces interacting with each other. And the last display case I wanted to show you is this one with some pieces from Caroline Carlson's donation, because Caroline Carlson donated all of choreographic notes and photographs, a lot of her artistic work, because she has a graphic drawing and graphic work as well as a dancing creations. And she donated all of this to the Performing Arts Department in 2011, and we were very honored to have this donation, because she is a very prestigious and very talented choreographer. And because it is very prestigious, we love to share pieces from this archival collection to the public. So it was great to include them in this exhibition. Alors, maybe you can recognize some choreographic notes from the ballet Cygne, which was performed first in the Paris Opera in 1997. So they are very wonderful with magnificent colors. And, they are really a piece of art, actually, not only choreographic notes, they're really artistic. And you can also see some drawing books by Carlson. This one, for example, or this one, which is what we call in France a leporello. I don't know what is the word in English. And I think my favorite book from the Carlsen donation, which is shown here, is this one. So it is not as beautiful as the others, but it is very moving, in my opinion, because it is these notebooks from when she attended Alvin Nicolais's classes in Salt Lake City in 1965. So she was a very young dancer, and she's taking notes and saying that, for instance, she must relax her back or relax her mouth and be more into the movement. So it is very moving because we can see it as a testimony of the beginnings of a future great dancer. So I like this one very much. And I think I'm gonna end here. If you have other questions or comments, I will be very pleased to try to answer you.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. And those are beautiful photographs and a really beautiful exhibit.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, they're called leporellos here too, or just accordion fold format books. How big a staff is there to take care of the costumes and textiles? And is that a separate department, did you say, or is it within your department?
No, it is within our department. So it's just one person. She's in charge not only of the costume, she has other responsibilities, but yeah, only one people. Yeah.
So I want to invite people to either just unmute yourself and ask your question, or you can type it in the chat if you want me to read it out for you.
I just have a question. How did you go about deciding which materials you're going to include in the collection, in the exhibit rather?
Yeah, it's a really good questions because I didn't have the time to watch every pieces we had on Danse because our collections about Danse are really extensive. So it was, I think, it was a lot of chance because it was mostly I was discovering things in our storage rooms, and I was thinking, this one is great, and this one will interact great with one another piece that I had already selected. And I think I tried to use a lot of colored pieces because I don't know if you can see it, but it is a very dark room, especially in winter. There is not a lot of light, and can be a bit cold, not very warm room. So I wanted to have very colorful pieces and some pieces that could share a bit of movement, because dance is an art of movement, and I wanted the exposition to be a bit dynamic. I don't know if I managed to do it, but at least it was my intention at first. So yeah, I think it's this way. I proceeded this way.
No, you definitely succeeded. The colors are beautiful and they work really well together.
Here are some questions in the chat. Beautiful exhibits. Thank you for sharing. Does Anne-Lise have a favorite item from the collection that wasn't featured in the exhibit?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, actually, it was. I don't know if you know this ballet, which is named Le Jeune Homme et la Mort. I think Balanchine danced it in a movie, an American movie in the 80s, something like that. And it was a ballet which was written by Cocteau. and Jean Cocteau. And Cocteau also designed the stage designs. And we had a wonderful stage design by Cocteau. It's the end of the ballet where the young man actually committed suicide, and he is welcomed by death. And it is very, very great. We have we have the Moulin Rouge at the backstage, and the young man is welcomed by death, which wears a very red mask. And it is a very striking image, I think. And unfortunately, we didn't have the place to show it, but I hope we could include it in another exhibition soon.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it was Baryshnikov in White Knight. Somebody just said that in the chat. With the late Gregory Hines.
Yeah, it was a White Knight. Yeah. I didn't see the chat, but yeah, it was White Knight.
Great. So I have a question, actually. So I have a question about how curators train in France, because it seems like here in the United States, I don't know a lot about official training programs. I'm sure there are some, but it's less typical, I think, for curators in some areas to be trained. So could you tell us a little bit about the kind of training you did to be a curator?
Yeah, sure. I don't think I think curator in France is a bit of an exception, because when I worked a bit in the United Kingdom, and they do not have curators like we have in France, because what is specific about our work is that we both have material responsibilities about the documents, and we collect things, we catalog them. We also take care of the material state, but we also have scientific work. And of what I saw, I thought that in Great Britain it was two different different people that took care of these two parts of the job. So regarding my training, there is something in France called the classe préparatoire. It is 2 years of very intensive training, very general, about history. I did a lot of Latin too, literature. It's very general, a very general education, and it is supposed to prepare us to the selective exam, which are named the concours in France, competitive exams, sorry, the concours. So I passed the concours of the École Nationale des Chartes, which is a very ancient school, which was created in the 19th century, beginning of the 19th century, just after the French Revolution. And it is a school that is dedicated to train future French heritage professional, not only curators. So we had various classes like sigillography, paleography. Sometimes it was a bit dry. I don't know if we can say it like this in English, but it was not very thought-provoking sometimes, but yeah, it was very useful. And so it is this training lasts 3 years. In my time, it was 3 years, but nowadays it is 4. It has gained another year, and we took another competitive exam, so another concours, to specialize in curation. So I passed this one as well, and I was trained for 2 more years in the Institut National du Patrimoine. So it was a bit like, I don't know if you know what l'École Nationale d'Administration is. It is meant to train us as high public servants. It's more like, it's not as specialized as the École Nationale des Chartes. It's more like you took classes in management, in financial management, things like that actually. And so overall, I was educated for 8 years, I think. So it's quite long, yeah, before having a job.
Thank you so much. That was interesting. It's a different system, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we don't have as much like governmental support for the arts here,
Yeah.
so it's not like part of the civil service in a way, although it is a kind of a public service profession. So let's see. Hello, folks. Any more questions or thoughts or comments out there?
Hi. Sorry, I don't know if I should put my
You're great.
yeah. Thank you for your presentation. The exhibit does look extremely lovely. I have a question about what issues you've run with working with costumes, and of course you sort of mentioned like the headpiece is something that was obviously not meant probably for preservation when they created it, and I'm guessing it's probably not the most sturdy of objects. And I wondered, like, what do you, I guess, has there been any restoration issues you've had to think about? And how you handle these objects, issues with damage. It's very broad, but I'm just kind of curious, like, what you've had to work with.
Yeah, so actually the costumes of Goncharova, which looks very nice now, has been restored before being displayed. So it was torn apart. Like, it was very in a poor state, I think. And we also have a lot of problems with, I don't know what the bugs, costume bugs. I don't know what the word is in English, but we have a lot of these actually in our storage rooms. So it is one of another problem. But the thing is, we have a lot of budget cuts recently, and the restoration of costume is very expensive actually. So to give you an idea, it is about, for just a coat, it is about 20,000 euros. So it is very, very expensive related to our budget actually. So we do not have the possibility to restore many costumes each year. So last year we could restore another head dress that is also on display in this exhibition, but we couldn't afford to restore another one. And this year in 2024, I don't think we would be able to make a restoration at all of a costume, because otherwise we do not have budget left for our other paper documents or designs, and they are important as well. So yeah, it is a great problem, and we are not very specialized in National Library. There is in France a museum that is named Centre National du Costume de Scène, which specialized in costumes. So it is located in Moulins, in the center of France, and there are people there who are specialized in costumes, and they know better than us how to take care of them. The storage rooms are also a bit nicer than ours. So we tend to, when it is possible, to tell the people that want to donate us costume, we tend to tell them, maybe you could turn to the Centre National du Costume de Scène in Moulins rather than in the National Library, because we thought that your costumes would be better taken care of there. So yeah, I don't know if it answers your question. But...
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
So there's a similar question, actually. It kind of continues some of the themes that you were just mentioning. And Kylie says, the exhibit is lovely. I was wondering if your artifacts are stored on site when not exhibited and what the management of the collection is like.
So what I did not say when I presented the department is that we have both sites in Paris, one in the second arrondissement. So it is the one you see here, when you have a lot of our reading rooms and also our museum. And another one in the 13th arrondissement near the Seine, which was built in in the beginning of the 19th. Actually, it's a more recent building, and we have many more space to storage for storage room there. So our costumes are stored in this site near the Seine. Actually, are not in the historic building of Richelieu, which is the one that I showed you in this photo. So it is another site here. As for collection management, I think I'm not the people in charge of the person in charge of this collections, but I think we tend to do things regarding costumes only when there is an exhibition, actually, whether it is a National Library exhibition or a loan to another museum, because as I said, that everything regarding the costume is really expensive. So we tend to focus only on the costume which are meant to be exhibited, or also we're very attentive to the costumes that are related to a research project. So actually, sometimes researchers come in our storage rooms to study the costumes, and it is really nice for us to have these people who study our collections.
Thank you. So if folks are thinking of more questions, I'll ask another question in the meantime. What is the National Library doing regarding digitization and public access? Because it's, of course, everything, so much of what's going on right now, right? And especially in the wake of the pandemic and the increase in expectation and the increase in making things available online.
Yeah. So I think we have a very I say that as a user, actually, not as a professional working in the National Library. I think our digitized access service is quite efficient. It is named Gallica. I don't know if any of you have ever worked with it, but yeah, there are thousands and thousands of documents that can be accessed there. And we also provide services to other museums or archives services in France that do not have our budget in digitization. Because I don't know if you know it, but digitization has come very cheap. Actually, it is when you have big volumes, it can be actually a bit cheap. So we can afford to help other French services which could not afford to digitize their collection. So in Gallica, you can find collections from the National Library, of course, but also from other museum and heritage archives sections in services in France. So I think it is quite useful. People tend to like Gallica a lot, I think. but one big question for us is native digitized digital documents. I don't know what it. Yes, native.
Born digital.
Yeah. I think we are a bit late regarding the preservation of this document. We still are in an experimental phase, and we cannot actually nowadays give access to these documents in Gallica. Not yet.
I just had a question about acquisitions policy. Do you rely exclusively on donations, or is there also an acquisition budget for new materials?
Yeah, we have a small budget acquisition budget. Yeah, it's mostly documents that are put in auctions because I don't know if you know it, but we have located in the neighborhood where there are a lot of auctions room, so it's a very it's practical for us to have this nearby. So yeah, we have a bit of a budget regarding acquisitions. We buy mostly manuscripts and stage designs, costume designs. So there are unique pieces. But for archival collection, we tend to rely mostly on donations. Yeah, but we have a lot of donations every year. So we have a lot to do only with this one.
Great, thank you.
Does anybody have any more questions or comments or thoughts? Can folks do us a little favor in the meantime? And can you put in the chat where you found out about this event? That will be our unofficial market researching poll, if you could. Oh, thank you so much. So if I'm gonna look at the chat, but I'm also gonna say thank you so much to Anne-Lise for giving us this wonderful view inside the exhibit Dance and its Revolutions, La Danse et ses Révolutions, and for talking about the big picture at the National Library of France and for being with us here today, which is basically her evening. So we're making her miss dinner and all that kind of thing. We're so happy that everybody here was able to find out about this and join us today. And we hope that you join us. We're doing these monthly. We're looking for folks to join the performing arts section of the Society for American Archivists. And yeah. So we hope to see you again at another one. And you're getting lots of thanks there in the, I invite you, Anne-Lise, to look into the chat because you're getting a lot of thanks. I think people really enjoyed this very much. Okay. So I think we're going to wrap it up there. I'm not going to hurry anybody off. If you have more questions for each other or for us, this is really kind of also supposed to be a place where people can meet and find out about other folks with similar interests and connect about the issues around archiving, performing arts collections, and so on. So I'm not going to rush anybody away, but you know, we're here, but we're going to wrap this and Yeah. And I guess that is, that's where we're at. And we thank you again. It was really
Thanks
fun.
a lot. Thanks for
Yes.
inviting me.
Thank you.
All right. Well, great. Okay, well, if everybody doesn't start chatting with each other out loud, I'm gonna turn the link off. And I will see you on the next virtual meet and greet next month. Which,
Or
yeah.
we have something in the works, but
We have
don't
something
know
in the
when
works.
it is.
Well, yeah, we have something in the works, and you'll find out in hopefully the same way that you found out about this one. All right.
All
Great.
right. Thank you,
Well,
everyone.
thanks, everyone, and we'll see you
Thanks.
later. Take care.
Bye.